a French Montana, I guess, interview that mentioned that you and Chinx were in a relationship at one point.
Yeah, we were really good friends for a long time.
Okay, was it a relationship or just friends?
Just friends. We started off liking each other. Um, no secret, and when it got wind that he was possibly married, which came to me, that's when I sat down and confided with him that I knew what was up, or was it true, and he didn't deny it. And from that point on, we kind of we already had feelings for each other, in that sense that we mutually agreed that we would just always be friends out of respect for, the marriage stuff. And, guys, they're rappers. They're like, living the, double life. That I couldn't blame him for not telling me. Like, he didn't know what we were eventually going to be. And, when it started to kind of like, when I thought, okay, we might start dating, is when that information came back to me. And he always respected his wife. I will always respect his wife. That was something we mutually decided, because he knew I wasn't having it. And we've been friends. And, he's one of those people that I would confide to, and he would confide to me. And, we built a really dope friendship that was extremely solid, down to business stuff. And, so, his loss was, him passing was definitely a huge loss to a lot of us.
Yeah, I mean, that really came out of nowhere. It was like, he was sort of on the verge of kind of popping off with his music, and, French Montana was heating up, and then out of nowhere, he got murdered.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And it's interesting because I remember I interviewed Lil Boosie recently, and he talked about how
wherever you from, you will get hated the most. Most rappers die in their own city, man. It's a fact. And you have haters who was in school with you, and they mad because they was in that third grade class with you, but they don't have the same hustle as you.
It's funny too, because when he came back from LA, he had called me. He was like, I'm coming back home. I want to see you, this, that, and the third. And I was like, okay, cool. And he was really, really excited about, some new music that he was getting ready to, drop and stuff. And he was also getting ready to go to Dubai to shoot a video and stuff. And it's funny because that trip, he was so excited. He wanted to rush home to his wife and kids. And it was an intense conversation, because he's like, yo, I can't wait to get home. He's like, all I want to do is kiss and make love to my wife and be with my kids. He's like, yo, this is about to be huge for me. And that was one of our last conversations. And it bothers me, because it was he wasn't even supposed to come home. He was rushing home to the family, He was supposed to go to Vegas, if I'm not mistaken, with French. And he cut that whole trip short just to come home. And he knew things were going to blow up for him, And yeah.
So he actually made a detour to see his family. Mm-hmm. And during
that's what
that
brought
detour,
him to New York. Yeah, that's what brought him to New York.
He got killed. Wow.
Yeah.
Does it bother you at all that
Yeah, it bothers me, because at that time, he was changing in a huge sense of, he was starting to man up of I don't give a fuck if people know about my wife. I don't give a fuck if people know about this. It's about the music. And it's funny because he would keep that so secretive and private that nobody knew what was what unless you knew him. And when it's funny because that day I found out, and I sat down and he confided with me. He gave me the whole rundown, on how he got married and stuff like that. So I always felt a special connection to that, especially when I got that call, him so excited to get home, And yeah, he was always about his kids, but it was for some reason the last few weeks he was just so intensely adamant on fixing things with his wife. And it's powerful, because not many men have that change of heart during, you know what I mean, the process of their come up. Most of them are all for, like, you know, let me be the playboy, whatever. And Chinx, even though, you know, Chinx is very handsome, so he had bitches. But he'd also have more morals than anything, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, at the time that he was killed, he actually had a baby on the way. Mm-hmm. And I know that his wife actually accepted the baby. And, you know, I mean, didn't, at that point, it was like.
Chinx was a lover boy. Everybody loved Chinx. I love Chinx. But I was just different because, like I said, going back to me being a man, like, you know, I sat down with him, like, real talk, tell me the truth. You know, most bitches spaz, like, oh, you married, blah, 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 and become the biggest nag of all time. Where me, it was like, yo, be real with me, tell me what's up, you know? And I knew about the girl, Trish, that he has a baby with. Like, I knew him in and out. Like, I knew all the bitches because I became the homeboy. You know, like, we were the homie, like. And yes, it started off not that way, but that's just how it grew. Like, you know, we were able to confide in each other. Like, you know, it's just what it was. Like, he was the one who told me, like, you and Bao are not going to work out. Like, he would laugh about it all the time. Like, it was like a big joke to him, you know. I mean, it was a big joke to everybody. So, but that's how, like, you know, close we were, you know. Like.
I mean, when you look at some of your relationships, obviously we don't know about all of them, but you look at some of your relationships between Bow Wow, Sin Santana, you know, your dealings with Chinx and so forth. You know, you have, you know, your child's father who's affiliated with Terror Squad. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, you know, you want to continue to date men that are sort of in the public, or would you prefer to deal with men or women and keep it completely private? When you look at both sides of the story.
It's funny. I don't want to deal with anybody that I've had my issue where it's like, okay, I've dated a Taylor Swift before, if that makes sense. Like, you know, they play this whole innocent shit and then but behind closed doors, there's so much more. You know what I mean? Like, play innocent, but the receipts, you know, show otherwise. So I would never date anybody who's like in need of the public eye, even though they try to act like they don't. And that's very hard to spot, you know, but that was also my fault. Like, I was so persistent, you know, I didn't care about anything else. But then I also date a guy like Bao who, like, loves the public eye, like, you know, gives stuff to the public eye just so it's, you know, all eyes on me or just so you're talking. I've had my fair share of both. And honestly, it's hard to tell because I'm in this. Like, no matter what, it's like I could walk down I can be with a complete, you know, someone who's very low key, not known or whatever. And, you know, because I'm with them, they become, you know, a little bit known. So it's like, you can't really say, you know, you just gotta really, honestly, I feel like, especially now that I'm like off of Love and Hip Hop, I say this all the time, like, I'm finally getting my life back. And what I mean by that is like, unless I put it on my Snap or social media, people don't know about it. So it gives you the opportunity to honestly, like, give that time to get to know someone, you know what I mean? Which is very important for any relationship. But when you're with someone who's kind of like in the public eye naturally and people, you know of them and they like to write about who they're with, it isn't fair for the relationship because people tap into it and then people's, you know, comments and their perception and all that stuff plays a big part, especially if the person isn't built for it, you know. I'm at a point right now where it's kind of like the person I'm dealing with, I keep to myself, and it's been healthy that way because it's like whatever's between us is between us, and if it transpires to more and more and more, we get to that point, then yeah, we're already like, we built this solid foundation where it's like, even when it gets to that point, we're good. There's nothing you could do to break us because we took so much time to build us. So, you know, with knowing what I know now, I think that's how I'm gonna, you know, do things moving forward.
What do you think about the whole situation?
Man,
my point of view, man, I really feel like they tried to paint a bad picture on my brother and try to make him look like he was a hater. It was some envy, jealousy type shit, you know what I'm saying? And actuality, you know what I'm saying? Bro been having this shit, man. He been in the condo.
I got my hat on and I had my Coke bottles up under my hat. And I'm sitting at the dinner table like an asshole with the hat on, knowing she gonna tell me to take it off. And I'm just sitting there just gulping down, you know, in my zone. She said, take that goddamn hat off at the dinner table. I'm like, come on, Mom. Coke everywhere.